Hello, hello, beautiful ones, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is. I have new glasses. I'll just start with that. And they go with my dress, which was definitely unintentional. I am hopping on today to talk about a subject that I revisit often. Oh, I hope you can't hear my washing machine. Let me go close that door. No one wants to hear a washing machine in the middle of a transmission. So let's close that door. Okay, so subject that I could talk about till the cows come home and have talked about many times, but the beauty of this subject is it's literally endless and it's ever changing, ever fluctuating like we are. But I want to talk about boundaries today. And I'm going to talk about this because there are times in our lives as human beings where boundaries come up more and more, and there's this invitation for us to look at them more and more and to visit the energy of boundaries in many different ways as time goes on and as life goes on. We change over our existence. We fluctuate, but we also change, we grow, we expand. Some people don't, but the intention is to expand and grow. So sometimes our boundaries will change or we will develop new ones. And this is one of the beautiful reasons why we can just keep revisiting this over and over again and always gain new wisdom. So I'm going to start right down from the very basics with boundaries, and this can be boundaries video number 1. Boundaries are energetic, foundational layers of protection that we state for ourselves that show the world and everyone in it what we will tolerate and what we will not tolerate. When we have boundaries, we are protected. When we don't have boundaries, we are unprotected. When we have boundaries, we state clearly to the universe what is okay for us and what isn't. And that is projected back at us through the law of vibration, the law of attraction, the law of deliberate intention, the law of manifestation, all these universal laws. Because when we say what is right for us, when we say what we are okay with, when we say what we will tolerate, when we say what we won't tolerate, what we say we will put up with, what we say we will deal with in life, this is often very, very, very harmful to our energy and to our energy field, because we wouldn't, at a soul level, tolerate those things. So we have to put boundaries in place that send out an energetic vibration, a beaming of energy right out into the universe that sets this frequency for us of what we want in life. And boundaries are massively, massively, massively overlooked. I just cannot believe sometimes that it's not something that we are all taught. Like, we should be taught this in school, and I'm just getting comfy. We should be taught this by our parents. We need to be taught how to protect ourselves through boundaries. Boundaries state what I want and what I don't want, what I am inviting in and what I'm not inviting in, what I am open for and what I am not open for, what I am available for and what I am not available for. Boundaries state our needs, requirements, and they do this by assisting us and supporting us in maintaining our sovereignty. So when I have boundaries in place, they make me who I am. They support me in who I've chosen to be. They support the energy that I have chosen to entertain in this lifetime. So with a boundary in place, it states, yeah, this is what I'm open for. This is what I want. This is what I'm out there for. This is what's okay with me. This is what I really want to attract. And no, I don't want that. I don't want that anywhere near me. I don't want that behavior near me. I don't want to attract people with those belief systems. I don't want to have certain people coming into my field for certain things when I do not vibrate at the same vibration as them. All right. So boundaries are an absolute must. And energetic boundaries, we must choose the boundaries that relate to us and put them in place firmly. When they are in place and they are practiced with honor, discipline, respect, and most importantly, consistency, they are consistent, then we set that vibration firmly so that that is what resonates from us always. So for example, if I have a boundary that says, I do not tolerate racism, then the more I anchor that boundary, the less likely it is that I am going to have a direct dealing with racism. Now, racism is a big one, and we deal with it, globally, collectively, all the time. But if I have a boundary that says I don't hang out with or, have friendships with racist people, then those racist people that could potentially want to come into my field, they won't come anywhere near because the boundary is so strong. If I have a boundary that says I don't tolerate victim behavior, very rarely will people heavily in the victim consciousness come anywhere near me. All right. So the more that we anchor the vibration of the boundaries that we're setting, the less likely we are to be faced with those problems. So it is practice in the beginning because, of course, we've got to put the boundaries in place, believe the boundaries, anchor the boundaries, practice the boundaries, stick to them. Sorry, just checking something. My daughter will message me anytime to pick her up from school. We have to make sure that we consistently put them in place. It's repetitive. It's something that we ingrain. We are absorbing it. We are living it. We're embodying it. And then it starts to emanate from us. And when we have these boundaries that are really strong, that are really in place, I charge X amount of money for my services because I know I'm worth it. We will mostly only attract people that are ready to pay us. Of course, you're going to get some people slip in here and there underneath the radar. That will always happen, but you're not attracting people who do not have the capacity to spend money on themselves, because the vibration you're setting is that you believe you're worthy of having money spent on your services because of how fucking awesome they are. So then you are attracting people that also believe they are worthy of spending money on themselves, even if it's work in progress, but also they believe that your services are worth every penny as well. All right, so boundaries. Now you're getting an idea of what they are. A human needs to have boundaries across areas of their lives, and these are, in the beginning, different from area to area. Later in life, it might be that you have a set of boundaries and they're the same across board. But initially, when we start working on boundaries, if we haven't had them before, and when I say that, we haven't, studied them or written them down or worked with a coach or a therapist or a practitioner who uses them like I do, maybe we haven't had that, so we're setting the boundaries up from scratch. Then we need boundaries in different areas of our life. We need boundaries at work. We need boundaries that are sexual. We need intimacy boundaries. We need marriage boundaries. We need friendship boundaries, boundaries with children, boundaries with external family members, those that we're not sort of living with. The list can go on and on, because these boundaries might be different with different sets or different areas of our life. Some of them will, some of them will overlap, definitely, but a lot of them will need to be different, because we might have a set of boundaries that work for us in the workplace, and we might have a set of boundaries that we have in the bedroom. We might have a set of boundaries that we have with our husband. We might have a set of boundaries we have with our children. We might have a set of boundaries we have with our mother and father. We might have a set of boundaries that we have somewhere else, And it is important that we have them. I like to work with the model 7 boundaries across 7 areas, which you're going to start learning about. So we don't need to think too much about that now, because I will be talking on that. But having these boundaries, it is going to create energetic safety for you, and it is going to help you to lift your vibration to the vibration of that you need to be to receive the things you want to receive in your life. So if you have a boundary in a relationship that says, I will only be with a partner that respects me equally as I respect them, I will only have a partner if we have mutual respect for one another. If that's a boundary, then that is what has to happen. So if your partner starts disrespecting you, then your boundary is a deal breaker. So that relationship may well need to end, or it will need work. If you have a boundary in a relationship that says you are 100% committed and you are exclusive, then that boundary needs to be kept. If somebody is unfaithful, the boundary has been broken and crossed. So now, what are the consequences? Because boundaries must be respected. And this is a mistake that I see people make all the time, is that they say they have boundaries, yet they let people get away with all sorts. And I say, well, you had a boundary about that, so have you enforced that? Oh, yeah, no, but, I need to give this person a chance, or they've been having a hard time, or I'm just going to give... No, a boundary is a boundary, and it's there for a reason. The boundary is there because it protects you and it honors your values. If you do not honor your own values, no one will honor your values ever. If you do not respect yourself, no one will respect you. You are responsible for you. So when you put a boundary in place, it is firm. It is not changeable. So relationship boundaries that I have, for example, would be, in a relationship, there will not be at any time any physical, emotional, or mental abuse. Another one I have is that there will not be any racism of any kind. Another one that I have will be that the two parties must always commit to working on themselves for spiritual growth, because I can't be with somebody who chooses not to grow spiritually, because I've chosen the path of spiritual expansion, which is never ending till we exit this body, and then it still continues, and so on. So I have some boundaries in place in my relationships. I have another boundary that is I will not be with somebody who smokes cigarettes. That might seem, small to some people, but to me, it's absolutely a must. Can't smoke cigarettes, don't like it, don't want it near me, not having it. I also have a boundary that I will not be in a relationship with people who dislike animals or are harmful to animals. There's quite a few things in there that I've developed over the years that is kind of given me this, okay, from this place, I'm safe because I'm only attracting what fits with my values, but also I am safe because I am stating clearly the things that would cause me harm right off the bat, so that I'm preventing having any harm caused to me. If we state early on what our boundaries are, and we're very firm and clear about that, and we bring these things out, early on in connections and in situations, then firstly, sometimes we hardly ever attract the thing anyway. Secondly, we also have this really strong aura and this really strong, powerful vibration and this really high frequency vibration because we're sovereign. We are empowered. We're dancing to the beat of our own drum. We're not listening to what others are telling us to do or, hearing what people suggest and, following the lead of everyone else like sheep. We're actually going, well, this is what's right for me, so this is what I'm going to stick to. And with boundaries, this is a must. We must get clear on what our boundaries are. We must write them down. When we've written them down, we must read them out, meditate on them, write them in our journal every single day, if we can, and work on affirming them. We must write them in red pen. That affirms to the universe that we're really serious. And we have them written down so that they send a vibrational imprint of ownership from you out into the field, which then in turn can be radiated back at you. Because without boundaries, you are unsafe. And I know that's going to feel dramatic, but the amount of people that complain to me and the amount of people that I'm working with who are not safe in their own skin, they do not have or maintain energetic safety, they do not feel safe to do anything physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and don't have any boundaries. All right? So then I will suggest lovingly that boundaries need to be put in place. Because if we don't have boundaries, we are attracting people who can come straight in and harm us. They can come straight into this boundaryless energy that we have and go, "Ooh, I can get away with anything with this person. This person has no boundaries," and I can feel that. I can feel that they're not protected. I can feel that they are not safe within themselves. They don't feel strong. They don't feel anchored. So I can get away with anything. And then they do, because you will attract that. You will attract people that want to abuse you, want to harm you, want to take from you. People who want to be in the triangle. They want to be in the persecutor, victim, rescuer mentality. They want that. And you're attracting that because you don't have any boundaries that say otherwise. If you don't have boundaries, people will always try to cross you in many different ways, because how can they honor any boundaries that you have when they are not there, or when you keep changing them to suit individual people? Now, I've heard this before. I've got that boundary in place with my sister because she can handle it. But no, with my brother, no, I have to change it because he's sensitive. Well, that's not a fucking boundary then. Excuse my French. But boundaries across board, it stays there. It's solid. It's an iron fence. It's like this. And you don't change it to suit individual people, because that's not a boundary. That is actually the opposite of a boundary. And that's where we can get negative energy really creeping in, because we're not consistent and we don't have energetic safety, because what we say to one person is different to what we say to somebody else. And we keep changing and swapping. Boundaries are across board. They might be different, as I mentioned, for your different areas, but they are still across board. If you do not tolerate negative behavior, that's going to be a boundary for all of your areas. And this is a big one, because people will say, "Oh yeah, but my mum's really negative and I have to put up with that because she's my mum." And it's like, well, if she's putting negative energy on you in a harmful way, why do you have to put up with that? What are you going to do about that? What boundary are you going to put in place so that that's not happening? Because how can you have no negative energy from your clients? Because that's easy for you to put in place, because you can separate yourself emotionally from them. But you've also got to have that same boundary for your parents, because if it's no negative energy, it's no negative energy. Because if it is negative energy being thrown at you from anywhere, it is you saying yes to harm. So boundaries must be consistent, and they must be stable. Otherwise, they are not boundaries. All right? So what we're going to do from this first video is consider this an introduction. I want you to write down 3 areas in your life that are very separate from one another. Now, the most common would be work, and then it might be in your marriage, in your relationship. It might be with your children. It might be with your mother and father. It might be somewhere else, all right? Professional boundary, all sorts, emotional boundary, sexual boundary, there's so many. But start with 3, and you're going to write 7 boundaries for each area. Think about it like this: I do not tolerate, I do not allow, I will not participate in. Those kind of energies, it needs to be powerful, all right? I do not tolerate blah, 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 emotional abuse. I do not tolerate physical abuse. I do not work past 5 p.m. I do not work before my work day starts at 9 a.m. I do not see clients on Saturdays. I do not blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? let's give it a go. Let's start putting some boundaries in place, because I'm telling you now, if you do not do this, you won't evolve. If you don't have boundaries, you are not evolving into spiritual ways of living. When I say spiritual, I always mean expanded. Spiritual living is where we are connected to the soul and we realize there is a bigger picture, and we are here for that bigger picture. We are here to be multidimensional, right? If we are not having boundaries, if we do not have boundaries in our life, we don't have physical safety, all right? Because we create physical safety through having boundaries. We don't have emotional safety because we don't have emotional stability, and we're inviting all different types of emotions to be thrown at us from all different directions. But also we're throwing our emotions out everywhere, left, right, and center as well. We're not protected mentally. We're not going to expand mentally because we're always moving between lower and higher insight patterns in the mind. We've got too much clutter and too much busyness going on because we don't have this very clear set of instructions for ourselves. If you have a very clear set of mental boundaries in an area, you have a lot more coherence and clarity. All right, so let's leave it there and let's start playing with boundaries. Thinking about 3 areas in your life, writing down at least 7 boundaries, and thinking about language like, I do not allow, I do not tolerate, it is not okay for me, I am not participating in, etc. All right, and let's keep playing with the boundaries. So much love, everybody. Chat more about this soon.